Very good morning, everyone. This is Praviti Malik, TGT English from PIS Himmatnagar. And today I'm going to take up a lesson from English literature for class 6. And just so that I can introduce you the topic, I have a little question for you all. Let's see if you can reach the topic that we're going to do today. So I have a little question. The question is that what is that one thing that we all add in all the three meals that we cook every day? Our breakfast, our lunch, and dinner. I'll give you 5 seconds to think about it. All right, so I'm sure the answer was very simple. The answer is salt. Yes, a very basic ingredient and a very necessary ingredient, I think, which we kind of overlook at times. But I think if your meal doesn't have salt, I think it's really, really incomplete, right? So for enhancing the taste of your food and all the ingredients that you add, it is very important to add a pinch of salt, right? And you must have even seen certain recipes in where the chef is telling you that a pinch of salt in the dessert also. Yes, why? But why that pinch of salt we need? Why is it that today we're discussing about salt? Because salt is one ingredient, one mineral that is very, very important for our growth, our daily life. And this lesson is also about discussing why salt is important and what is the story behind how we have started making salt in our country, India, right? So let me share the screen with you and watch a PPT for a better understanding about the lesson. All right. Let me just enlarge the screen for you all. So this is an English literature lesson, a pinch of salt. This is lesson number 3. Let's go ahead. So salt. Salt is the oldest mineral known to humans. And it was and is, in fact, a very valued mineral in ancient times also. In ancient times or even today, salt is very, very essential, right? Solar evaporation. Now, solar evaporation is one method that you're going to understand in this lesson, right? So I've just shown you a little picture where solar evaporation is happening. You can see the boxes that they've made on the ground, and you can see there is water, and you can see the dunes that are made with white color. This is all salt, right? And we know that the sea salt is very the sea water is very, very salty, and it helps us make salt, right? So when we read and when we read the lesson, we're going to understand the detail that what exactly is your solar evaporation. Now, what are the sources of salt? Now, from where do we get salt, basically? So there are two products that we get, and after that, we extract a more finer salt from it. So one salt that we get is from the sea salt, okay, from the sea that we get, and the other one is rock salt. Now, sea salt, when we talk about it, explains in itself that the sea water, helps us extract the salt from it. And the rock salt is the salt that, you get from the coast. Coast is a place where the water and the land meets, right? So basically, it is on the land, the salt rock. Now, we're going to discuss also in this chapter that what are the ways for the formation of salt. So natural salt fans is one. Number 2 is your rock salt mining, vacuum evaporation, right? So again, all the detailed understanding of the 3 methods are in your lesson. Now, very, very important. I think the people must have, heard it a lot of times that iodine, the salt should have iodine. Even in advertisements, they say that this product has a lot of iodine. The salt is iodized salt. Now, what is iodine exactly? It is an important mineral, basically, for the balanced growth of a human body, right? Deficiency of iodine, if we don't have iodine in the salt, or we are not intaking iodine in our daily life, it can affect our mental health. right? So the conditions like mental retardation, um, and the disease like thyroid. Now you can see in the picture that I've shared here, there is a neck where the thyroid gland is visible, but it's like a normal one. And you can see in the picture next to it where it is a swollen thyroid. So this kind of a condition uh, causes a little disease, and it can affect the normal living of a person. And you have to start with a medication which has to go on for life. So therefore, it was decided that iodine, because it is so important for us, so they thought that iodine should be added in the salt. Why? Because salt is that mineral that humans are consuming every day of their lives, which is a very basic ingredient for making any food, right? Let's go ahead. Father of the nation. You must be wondering, like, why are we going to discuss about the father of the nation? That is Gandhiji. So Gandhiji, as the father of the nation, because he was, working for the rights of the Indian citizens, and he was working for the freedom of our country and the people. So in his life, he always encouraged, the Indians, the citizens of India, to be independent, right? Two principles that he followed all his life and he taught everybody was Satyagraha and non-violence. But why are we discussing Gandhiji in the lesson related to salt? Do you have any idea? I think you must be a little confused right now. Let me just clear that fact. Now, there was a salt law that the Britishers made for our country, okay? Uh, and there was a salt law that Gandhiji made for the Indians, being an Indian. So, salt law that was introduced by Gandhiji at that time when the Britishers were ruling India, you know, so that our country and the people of India get independent in, making the salt easy, right, and selling it. So, what exactly was the salt law that was introduced by the Britishers? According to the salt law, Indians could not collect the salt from the sea, right? Or make the salt for themselves, or even make the salt and then sell it. It was not allowed. The Britishers said you cannot do that. Anyone, and they also said that anyone who disobeys this rule will be imprisoned. Imprisoned means that that person is going to be behind the jail, right? Now, I have popped up certain questions on the side. Do you think the salt law was fair? I think the most common answer that most of you are going to give is no, because it is our country, and water and the sunlight are the two sources that we're getting very naturally on our planet Earth. And living in Gujarat, I think we all know that how we are, very close to the coast also, right? So it was very easy for people to, make salt and use it in their everyday life or sell it so that they can earn money also, right? But why? Why was it like that? It was very expensive for every Indian citizen to buy. ऐसा क्यों कहा जाता है कि ये जो salt law था was not fair? It was not fair because the salt that the Britishers were making, it was very expensive, and they asked the Indians to buy the salt from us, where they have to pay a lot of money to the Britishers, and which was very difficult. And this was a very basic necessity, and the basic necessities in the country should be very cheap in monetary wise, so that a person who's very rich, a person who's not very rich, can afford that basic necessity in life, right? Let's go ahead. Now, what were the breaking of the salt law, and what were the consequences of it? How the salt law was broken, and who broke it, and what were the consequences or the result of it? So Gandhiji stood against and decided to break this salt law, as salt is the basic necessity. He organized a march, Dandi March, which was on 6th April 1930. I've popped up this date for you so that you can easily remember this date, because a lot of you might struggle in remembering the dates, and which happens with a lot of us. So this pop-up will always make you have that visual memory that yes, 6th April 1930, which was a pop-up thing, was the date when the Dandi March happened. From Sabarmati Ashram in Ahmedabad to Dandi. Dandi is a village near the coast of Gujarat, where the Dandi March of Gandhiji started, with lots of his followers following him. He picked up some salt crystals from the coast and promised to get India its independence. And that day, there is a picture also you can search, and even in the book we will watch it right now, yeah, after a while. That he picked up those crystals and promised the citizens of India, and he promised to himself that I'm going to make this country an independent country. Gandhiji and his followers, after the breaking of the salt law, which was not allowed, the Britishers told that you are not allowed to break the salt law that we are making, right? And they told very clearly that you cannot make the salt yourself. And Gandhiji and all his followers were put behind the jail and they were imprisoned, right? Let's go ahead. So after this discussion, we are going to start up with the new words in this lesson. Now, why I'm discussing the new words we should go through first is because it makes your lesson planning, lesson understanding, comprehension much, much easier, right? So let me just zoom in a little bit so that it's easy and visible for you all. Just give me a second. Minerals, valuable or useful chemical substances that are formed naturally in the ground, right? So basically the minerals, कोई भी mineral which is made which is very valuable and useful, and which we get from the ground, with that too naturally. Nobody is making salt, nobody is making the sea a salty sea. It is happening on its own. Now, seasoning. What is seasoning? This is another word that is going to be used in the lesson. So it's very important that you know the meaning. So salt and the herbs or the spices that we add in the food to just enhance or make the food tastier is your seasoning. I think I can give you a very relatable example of that. Is that when we go to any pizza place, we always ask for a little extra seasoning on the pizza, right? So what is that extra seasoning you add? You add a lot of oregano or you add a lot of chili flakes, right? So that is your seasoning. Preservation, processing food, the food that is packed, like you must have seen in the big stores that you go to these days, that there is a lot of packed food, right? Frozen food. So they need certain preservatives in it, and so processing food to make it last long, so that this food can last for a longer time. So it needs certain preservation. Evaporation, we all know, I think you must have studied in science also. So the process of turning the liquid into vapor is your evaporation. Salary, a fixed amount of money agreed as pay for an employee. Employee is a person, like I'm a teacher, I'm an employee of Polar International. So I have been promised to give a certain salary every month, which is a fixed amount of money. So that is your salary, right? Allotted, gave something for a particular purpose. जब हम कोई चीज किसी को दी जाती है for a very specific reason. Allotted. Commodity. Commodity is a thing that you can sell or buy, right? Currency. Currency is the, let me just mark so that you don't get confused. So we are at currency. Just log in. where were we? Easily read it also. All right, so we were at currency. So the money that is used in a particular country at a particular time. So like in India, we use the currency rupees, and if you go to America or you go to US rather, we use the currency dollar there. So every country has its own currency, right? Extracted. What does extracted means? Removed or took out something. किसी चीज से कुछ निकालना. For example, from the sea water, because which is salty, we extract the salt from it and we make sea salt, right? So we get sea salt. So that is called extraction. Extract करना. किसी चीज को बाहर निकालना उसमें से. Now, what are crystals? These are the pieces of a substance that have become solid. So crystals are basically, that the word that we read in the PPT also, that Gandhi took a few crystals in his hand and promised to himself and the followers that I'm going to make this country an independent country very soon, right? So shifted, shook a powdered substance, right? A sieve to beat lumps into some very small particles. So basically, a substance through which we are making small particles out of it, right? Breaking it into small particles. Graded, separated things into different levels of quality or size. So when we are, we have a lot of things. For example, we have lots of pencils. Let me just give you a very basic example. So we have a lot of pencils. Maybe the colors are different, the sizes are different. So we are going to divide them according to the quality it has. The pencils which are very high quality, we're separating it. A similar size, we're separating, and so that is called your graded. Packed. Packed means wrapped. Lapet dena, wrapping, or put into container, or like your lunch is being packed by your mother or your father in a tiffin box or in a wrapping paper, right? So that's your meaning of packed. Okay, let's go ahead. Expenses. Expanses means a large or an open area, a very big area, right? Crust. In this lesson particularly, crust means the top layer or the outer layer of the earth, जहाँ पे हम लोग रह रहे हैं, जहाँ हमारी roads बनी हुई हैं, everything has been made on the crust of the earth. Arid, very dry and without enough rain for plants. एक जगह जहाँ which is very very dry and which doesn't have enough rain for the plants to consume. Rock salt, what is that? Salt that is taken from the ground, not the sea. Remember, like I said, rock salt is a salt that you take from the coast, not from the sea water, right? Mining. There is a place, Eder in Gujarat, right? There, it's very popular for lots of mines there, right? So what are mines? Basically, mines are of different types. And the process of getting coal and other minerals, कोई भी minerals निकालने के लिए, we have to dig inside the ground. So we have to make little holes or make little area for the workers, basically to go down and get the minerals out. Vacuum, a space from which most or all matter has been removed. Vacuum means basically to vacuate, right? Deficiency. This is a word that again in the PPT we heard when I spoke about if the iodine deficiency is there in your body, what will happen, right? So deficiency जब किसी चीज की आपकी body में कमी हो. Goiter, a disease that causes swelling at the front of the neck. So when I showed you the picture in the PPT where there was a gland here in the neck which was normal and then which was very swollen. So that basically that increase in the swelling of the thyroid is called your goiter. Consumes, eats or drinks. Go ahead. You can see this. Imposed and imprisoned. So imposed basically means when something is being forcefully given to you or told to you that you have to do it without asking or without any discussions with you. Imprisoned means, like we have discussed before, when a person is put behind the jail, behind the bars, that's called imprisoned, right? So here we are completing with the new ones, which were very, very important for you to, learn and have a little hang of it. And so that when we are reading the lesson, you can easily and quickly comprehend the lesson, right? Alright, so we're going to start with the lesson reading. A pinch of salt. Salt is one of the oldest minerals known to human beings. In ancient times, salt was highly valued and its production was controlled by law. It was used as a means of trade and money at various items at various times and places. Salt has also been used for thousands of years for seasoning and preservation. Like I said, that salt is used for seasoning and preservation. Seasoning means the kind of herbs that we add, and the preservation, the food preserved correctly, we also add salt because salt kind of helps the preservatives to stay in the product. The word salary comes from the Latin word salarium, which has the root sal or salt. Salt, right? Let's go ahead. In ancient Rome, it was the term used for the money allotted to a Roman soldier to buy salt. Now, why we are discussing the word salary? Because this salary thing was, given to the soldiers. And why was it given? Because it was the term used for the money allotted. उनको money दिया जाता था to a Roman soldier to buy salt, which was an expensive but essential commodity. It was very important for every person, even today or many years ago, down the lane also. I think we are always going to need salt, right? It is very important to make a basic food and a basic dish for ourselves. So the Roman soldiers were basically given the money so that they can, buy this commodity salt, and which was very, very essential and everyday use. When a soldier did not do good at work, जब कोई soldier was not doing properly his work at the place at his workplace, his salary was cut. See, salary को cut कर दिया जाता था. Now this is how we get the expression not worth his salt. So this is a saying that we have heard, not worth his salt. क्यों कहा जाता था? Because that person, that soldier, was not doing his job properly. So it was told, because salt was very expensive at that time, and it was a basic necessity. So it was told, it was said, it was a saying that time that a person who is not doing the work properly is not worth his salt. Today, salt is easily purchased at grocery stores, right? We go to the supermarkets, we go to the big Reliance malls, we go and shop there, and we purchase salt very easily. And our salary is paid in currency of our country, and our salary is also not being cut, and our salary is also being given to us, no matter we are doing what work, right? So basically, like we discussed in the PPT also, so there are main two sources of salt from where we are getting the salt. Seawater and rock salt deposits on the earth's surface. So salt is extracted. Again, extracted. The salt is taken out by using various methods. Now, what are those various methods? The first method that we are going to discuss is your solar evaporation. It is the oldest method of salt production. Salt ko banane ke, this is the oldest way. Artificial salt pans are built to extract salt from the sea water, right? So artificial ऐसे salt pans, ऐसी areas बनाए जाते हैं to extract salt from the sea water. Now salt evaporation ponds बनाए जाते हैं, are built along the coast. Coast के पास बनाए जाते हैं so that it's easier for us to get the sea water and extract the salt from it. Sea water is fed into these ponds. Natural evaporation of water due to the action of the sun and the wind leaves behind the salt crystals. Now, what they are discussing is about the solar evaporation. Like I said, solar evaporation is a very basic word which tells you the meaning. The meaning that solar means your sun, and evaporation, that how the sun is evaporating the water and leaving behind the salt crystals. Uh, the raw salt is washed. When the crystals that we get, it is being washed, it is being dried, shifted and graded. Graded, it is divided into different sizes and different shapes, and then they are packed as required. Let's go ahead. All right. The next process, the method to extract salt, is natural salt pans. Natural salt pans are different from man-made salt pans. How? Because it is used in solar salt production. Natural form salt pans are expenses. Expenses again, we discussed the large and huge areas of flat land where the surface is covered in a hard white crust of salt, right? A white crust of salt is being laid there and other minerals. So these are mainly found in deserts and other arid regions where large water bodies have dried up over thousands of years ago. And generally, they are making these natural salt pans where, the land has been, dried for a very long time, and it's kind of a deserted area because it makes it very easy, for the land to be really rock solid and, making the salt and extracting the salt much easier. Where large water bodies have dried up over thousands of years, leaving behind salt and other minerals. And natural salt pans are basically uh, big areas where there was a lot of water and a lot of water bodies there, but over the time, because it has been dried up, so the salt has naturally been left behind. So that is called your natural salt pan, right? Let's go ahead. So rock salt mining. It is the extraction of rock salt present in the rocky underlayers of the Earth's surface. Rock salt is extracted through deep shaft mining, similar to the mining of any other mineral. So they're saying basically rock salt extraction is a deep shaft mining, but it is similar to any other mineral that is being extracted. Once it is brought to the earth's surface, it जैसे ही उसको ground से नीचे निकाल के surface पे लाया जाता है, it is processed and used for industrial and other non-food purposes, right? This type of salt contains many minerals. Now, this type of salt will have a lot of other minerals mixed in it, because anything that is in the ground, it cannot be just just taken out and used. No, you have to clear it because there are lots of impurities in it. So miners prefer working in salt mines because they are among the safest and also the most comfortable to work in. So the people, the workers, the labor which are working in the mines are called miners. So for miners, they always prefer to work in a proper salt mine because it is more safe for them to work there and it is very comfortable to work there, right? Next is your vacuum evaporation. Vacuum evaporation is the process in which salt water is heated, right? So salt water को क्या किया जाता है? Heat in large containers, बहुत बड़े-बड़े containers में, called vacuum pan. This method is used to produce high purity and fine grain salt. And because these are such big, vacuum pans में बड़े containers होते हैं ये, that उसमें क्या होता है that you get the salt which is very very fine in nature. Next topic is your iodine in salt. Like we discussed in the PPT also, that iodine is very very important for a balanced growth of our body. And if we are not getting sufficient iodine, or if there is deficiency in our body of iodine, there are a lot of diseases or mental conditions that can attack us and we will not be able to handle them. So the simple solution that the people at that time thought was that iodine should be added in an ingredient or in a product which every human being is taking in every day. So that ingredient was salt. So that is the reason why iodine was added to the salt. Let's just go ahead. So the last topic that we all know, that how Gandhi ji is related to the salt law, or the salt that we use today also, and which we get at such cheaper price, and which is employing so many people in our country. So Gandhi ji and the salt tax. Now, what was the salt tax all about? Let's just read in detail about it. When the British ruled India, right, they imposed a salt tax. Imposed, again, the meaning is written below: forced or unwelcome decision or rule on someone. So there was this imposed forceful tax, salt tax, which was given to the Indians to pay, and salt law was made. This led to an increase in the price of salt. और इससे क्या हुआ? टैक्स जब लगा सॉल्ट पे, तो टैक्स सॉल्ट का जो प्राइस था, it just increased, and consequently the poor people in the country could not buy salt, and because the salt had its a different level of tax and it was so expensive, and the people at that time in our country were not were getting enough money, or were not able to earn well, and so the poor people just stopped using salt. According to the salt law, the Indians could not collect it, make, or sell the salt. So this was a rule that Britishers made. The salt law was that Indians cannot collect the salt, they cannot make it, and they cannot sell it. Anyone who disobeyed this law, which was made by the Britishers, was imprisoned. Imprisoned, that person was put behind the bars. Gandhiji found this law, which was unfair, of course. We all discussed and we all felt that yes, it was very unfair. So he organized a Dandi march from Sabarmati Ashram in Ahmedabad to Dandi, a village on the coast of Gujarat. On April 6, 1930, Gandhiji picked up some crystals of salt from the Dandi seashore and pledged to free the country from the British rule. For breaking the salt law, the British put Gandhiji and his followers in the prison. So that is the, that was the consequence. Basically, the last line is the consequence. That when Gandhiji was, fighting against this salt law, which was very unfair and unjust, because there were a lot of people who were very, very poor that time, and they couldn't consume the basic necessity of a human being, that is salt. So after they broke the salt law, these people, including Gandhiji, were put to the prison. Now, I think the lesson is very, very clear to you, and there is some extra information that they have provided here. So we're definitely going to read this. So every cell in the body contains salt. Okay, and an adult human body contains about 250 grams of salt. So imagine how our body is increasing. Our salt consumption increases in our body. In fact, our body cells are containing certain salt amount all the time. So offering bread and salt to visitors in many cultures is traditional antiquity. In cold regions, salt is used for desizing roads. Even for desizing the roads in the cold areas, salt is also being used there. And again, salt is one mineral that we're getting from the nature very naturally, and we are very blessed that we are born on this planet, and we can use salt to our best possible use, right? So now that you have comprehended the lesson, we have certain comprehension questions at the back, right? And there are some more questions at the back, right? So these all questions you're going to try to write in your notebook in your own language. And if you want to discuss anything, you can definitely discuss it directly with me. And but I think it's a very simple chapter because I think you have understood the concept, the reason why you're learning this chapter so clearly that it will be very easy for you to, understand these questions and answer them, right? So that's about it for today. And tomorrow we're going to continue with the foods Edens, right? And what are the meanings of it? Like, let me just do this because this is a very fun part. And, like now that, we are ending our lesson for today. So I think it's going to be really interesting for you to, remember this. So food idioms, what are they? An idiom is a word or a phrase. First of all, for the students who don't know what are idioms, so idiom is are a group of words or a phrase that has a different meaning from its literal meaning. Like when we say, like the example has been given, take with a pinch of salt. Take it with a pinch of salt. What does that mean? Everyone loves food. We're just here only. Everyone loves food, right? And a food idiom is a great way to put your point across in a humorous yet direct way. So let me just come to this one. It's a very interesting one. Take with a pinch of salt. What does the meaning of it mean? If you just read this idiom, take with a pinch of salt, iska kya matlab hai? Take what with pinch of salt? There will be a question in your mind that what am I supposed to take with thoda sa namak, with a pinch of salt? So what is the exact meaning? So this is idiom. The first, identification of finding that what is an idiom or if this is an idiom or not is that it will never have a direct meaning. When you read an idiom, uska meaning aapko direct samajh nahi aayega. So that means it's an idiom. Now, what is the exact meaning is written here. Do not completely believe what you are told. जब आपको कोई, let me just give you an example where you can easily relate. In your classroom, if there is a student that comes to you and says that this friend of yours in the class was saying something about you, right? So that moment, you should take it with a pinch of salt. That means you should not completely believe that person who's coming and telling about someone else said this about you, right? So this is how, these idioms work in your, daily life. Now, we have also given you an example to how to use an idiom. Take everything you read in the tabloid with a pinch of salt. So read everything that is there in the tabloid, but with a pinch of salt. Same goes for when you are Googling stuff, when you're reading a lot of matter. There are a lot of news these days that comes on the WhatsApp also, which and where people are making you aware that all the news that you're getting on WhatsApp in the groups is not the actual or the real news. So you should study well. You should always take everything, every information that you get, which is not a direct information, with a pinch of salt and do your own research and your findings and then come to a decision, right? So there are a few more examples down here where they've given the meaning also. A lemon, a defective purchase. A piece of cake, something very easy to do. Bread and butter, a job that provides money needed to live. As cheap as chips, something very cheap. Cry over spilt milk. Complain about something bad that happened in the past. Cup of tea, not to your interest or taste, right? So I will share you one of my very used idiom every day in my life is cup of tea. This is not my cup of tea. So you usually use this statement when you are, when somebody is saying that, I like to go for shopping every day. And maybe I'm a kind of a person who doesn't like to go shopping every day. And it's not a kind of a very interesting thing for me. So I would say in reply that, that it's a great way to spend your time, but not my cup of tea. So that is how you use your idioms in the right manner, and I would like you to practice these in your daily life, and which is definitely going to help you enhance your knowledge, right? So let me just end the lesson. And thank you all for being so patient and listening to the lesson. And I'm sure that now you have better knowledge about what is salt and why is it necessary, and how you're going to practice idioms also, because it's a very important part of your language speaking, right? So thank you so much, and all the best.